Kitco News special coverage of the Gold Forum Americas is brought to you by New Pacific Metals and Silver Core Metals.
Rupert Resources is advancing a multi-million ounce gold deposit in northern Finland. The CEO is James Withall. James, welcome to Kitco.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I want to get this right. When I was looking at your deck, you're calling the gold deposit an all-weather discovery. Can you please explain?
Yeah, it's a good question. We thought up that, but look, the thing about gold deposits is that they're not created equally. There's no doubt about that. And whether a project is successful or not, ultimately is dependent on how good the geology is and the understanding of it and the sort of the morphology and the shape of the deposit. Ikkari is quite unique in that it's a big, broad deposit. It's very cohesive. And so what does that really mean when it comes to the investor is that, well, it should be able to make returns. And you think about that investor, but also all the other people it has to satisfy as well. But it should be able to make very good returns throughout the cycle of the gold prices. And that's the whole, sort of the Holy Grail of gold deposits. You don't want something that just makes money when the gold price is high. You want to have the confidence in your business and the deposit that you can make money when the gold price falls as well. So it's about margins, really. And higher margin deposits, they're more all-weather deposits.
Congratulations on the run. Last I checked, I see you're at a $750 million market cap, which is pretty good in our space as well, too.
Yeah.
What have been the major milestones that have kind of taken up to the valuation?
I guess really, we were fortunate at the beginning. When I joined in 2017, the company had bought a mine and then we spent $500,000 buying that from the receivers, the part of our assets. So we had a good base of ounces. And so that allowed us to explore, raise money and explore off the back of that. But really it was, we made the first discoveries in 2019, and Ikkari, and people did react to that a little bit. We attracted Agnico Eagle as a strategic investor in the early part of 2020. But it was really those first holes into Ikkari and the exceptional nature of those. We announced those in May 2020. And so it's the first holes are sort of 50 meters at 1.5 grams. So not, quite different to what we have done since. But that was really the milestone. And people started to understand that, wow, this is something different, something absolutely new in the space. And it was a completely grassroots discovery. So that was the initial bit. We were very ambitious, and I forced the geologists to step out a long way, like 400 meters away from the initial holes. And fortunately that worked, and those hit again, and that was really the next stage that drove the share price from maybe sort of $1.50 up to $3. And then as we started infilling in between it, people were like, okay, this is a significant gold deposit, and that drove the share price to around where it is today.
The word that keeps coming up, past interviews I've seen you, has been systematic. Why is this important, and why is it driving what you're doing?
My exploration geologist probably struggled with me because my background is in finance, and I was a geologist and went into fund management, and so I watched so many exploration companies go through the process. And I guess really exploration is not that different. It's about having a portfolio of exploration assets that you develop and systematically allocating capital to them and being very disciplined on that. And setting yourselves goals, clear goals of what the returns that you're trying to make on it. So we had this hurdle rate of $2 billion NSR. So that's what allowed, they had to demonstrate that to me within like the first 5 or 6 drill holes that it could be that, and then we allocate more capital. But it is just having a very systematic approach to it and being very disciplined.
What's your funding right now?
So we have in the order of, I think the last announcement was sort of at the end of May, we had about 45 million. So we're spending about $2.5 million a month. So it'd be just under 40 million these days.
Okay. Is there any parallels that you would say with the project right now that people can compare it against?
I guess that's a good question. We haven't really come across a parallel in terms of the geology of the deposit.
Maybe talk about the geology a bit.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more like a base metals deposit, more like a porphyry in some ways, but it's a high grade deposit. It's much higher grade than those would be because it is about 650, 700 meters long, 150, 200 meters wide, and it's just to the depth of the drilling now, sort of 450, 500 meters. But it is just one block of mineralized rock. It's not so many gold deposits or precious metal deposits are very vein controlled, and so. I remember you've been to so many around the world, but you go and look and they have some great grades and it's maybe 0.5 meter wide, in some cases a lot narrower, but outside of that there's no mineralization. At Ikkari, you basically, every meter that you drill when you're inside the main zone is mineralized. And that's the difference. So it's very hard to find an analogy really in the gold space. I'm sure there are.
Mm-hmm. Now, I understand as well, too, was there old mine workings on the site? Did I hear that?
Not here. So we owned the Paasavaara mine, which was 20 kilometers away. So Finland, hasn't had that much history in gold mining. Obviously, Kitco Agnico's operation is there now. But there was absolutely nothing at the Ikkari site. There wasn't a drill hole within 7 kilometers east or west of Ikkari. It's a proper grassroots greenfield discovery. So yeah, nothing at all. But fortunately, it's quite close to infrastructure. So it's 5 k's from power and 5 k's to the road. So yeah, it was a good place to find something where no one had really looked before. Yeah.
I want to step back because I want to take advantage of your background. You've had a lot of experiences that you worked as a geologist, and then you've also had a long experience within finance, right, too. We've had an interesting start to the fall.
Yeah, for sure.
Last I checked on my phone, I saw that gold prices are $1,670. Talking to our friends at Star Financial and Ornink, they were talking about it's been really hard time right now for raising financings. What are juniors right now doing in this environment? How are they adapting?
Yeah, I think it would be a very tough environment to be a junior. Certainly starting out in exploration, trying to raise new money for exploration would be very tough in this environment. And I think, obviously you've seen a lot of companies go down the royalty route, so royalties early on. And obviously that's a strategy that some of them might continue to take on. If they can demonstrate there's some geological potential, they may be able to finance through that way. But obviously with that, you're giving up quite a substantial amount of the upside early on, because you can't, even today, if we were to sell it, we can't tell you what could be there over all the licenses we hold in Finland. So I think that's one route. But I just think, unfortunately, we're just going to go through one of those tough times again now. And I think it's about, I think the thing for the juniors and the thing for me was I went from fund management into a junior. And the main thing is you've got to make your company relevant. And that's why we set this high hurdle rate for what we did, because we weren't going to be able to be able to finance new money on the base of, or the odd drill hit here and there. We did this in like 2017, 2018 when the market was pretty tough. So I guess, I don't have a crystal ball in one of the things going forward. I guess the thing for the juniors is to just try and make sure what they're doing is going to be relevant, or what they're looking for is relevant, and try and get people to support that approach, I guess. But I think it could be tough for a while.
James, milestones over the next 12 months at Rupert.
Yeah, the most important thing, everyone's waiting for the PEA. We announced that we'd be doing that in the second half of this year. That should be with us in the next couple of months. That'll allow people finally, and me, to be able to speak as a finance person more freely about what could be the potential economics of it. So that's pretty important to get that behind us. That'll have a new resource as well on the back of it, and bring in any of the satellites that we already know about. But then probably over the next 12 months, the excitement will be back on the exploration. Are there extensions to this deposit? Does it get bigger? Or are there satellites within close proximity that come together? And then, we'll see. I've got my exploration team looking for the next Ikkari. So, you can't predict when that'll happen. So, that could be a catalyst over the next 12 months, or it might not be. But at the same time, we're very comfortable because we have made this discovery already. So it gives us the confidence just to push on everything that we're doing.
James, thanks for speaking with Kitco.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
I've been with James Withall. He is CEO of Rupert Resources. My name is Michael McRae. You're watching Kitco Mining here at Gold Forum Americas in Colorado Springs.
Kitco News special coverage of the Gold Forum Americas is brought to you by New Pacific Metals and Silver Core Metals.